Ah, the museum. The intersection of art and history, where you can find stories, people, and places that you can't see anywhere else. Something's missing. There. It's International Museum Day today, and whilst it's nice to celebrate an event like this by going to your local museum, it's always sad to see that little to no museums feature the newest and most exciting artistic medium that we as a species have created: video games. But what if things were different? What if we lived in a world where games and gaming museums were treated with the respect that art museums are? Perhaps that day will come soon, and if it does, we think it's important to include indies in that exhibit. So we wanted to make a list of the indie games that we think should get the recognition, so that we can make our own little exhibit. Here's 5 of them. First up, Braid, the father of the indie puzzle platformer. Braid was originally intended as a critique of some of the trends the creator saw in game development at the time. From the likes of Fez to Limbo and Inside, to even things like World of Goo, this game really is the father of one of the central genres to the indie space. Cave Story, the original big indie. This Metroidvania was developed by one person over the course of 5 years in their free time, and to this day it is enjoyed by many thanks to a popular remake and the immutable power of word of mouth. Cave Story creates a direct line to so many games. Titles like Shovel Knight and Spelunky wear their influences on their sleeves, including this. Whilst games like Super Meat Boy and Cuphead strip the Metroidvania and focus on the action. Titles like The Binding of Isaac even claim inspiration from this game, with the focus this time being put on the exploration. The Stanley Parable.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
So it's no secret that I love this game. I've reviewed it not once, but twice for IGF. The Stanley Parable is a great example of two very important facets of the indie space: narrative and meta-narrative. Narrative games like Gone Home and Firewatch have long been big parts of the indie sphere, evolving out of visual novels, but in recent years this has been evolved again into an exploration beyond what is happening in the world of the game. Beyond the screen even, to a meta-exploration of games and certain genres in and as a medium. These can include the likes of Doki Doki Literature Club, and especially the games of Daniel Mullins, Inscription and the Hex, and our next game on the list. Undertale, the Amalgam. Much like how Cave Story's gameplay feels like a combination of old and new styles of retro gameplay, Undertale feels like a mix of old and new indie development staples. Like the indies of old, Undertale was developed and published by just one person, give or take, but it was funded on Kickstarter. And like older indie games, it was a critique on how games were developed at the time. Yet the story and writing feels fresh and modern. Undertale was and is a bona fide cult sensation, taking inspiration from the likes of Moon, Mario and Luigi, and particularly the Mother series. It is a game that has once again changed the way we see indies as a group. Undertale is perhaps the best game to put on this list, and I featured it here at the end for a reason. In a lot of ways, this game achieves what a lot of the previous games on this list have. The puzzles of Braid, the narrative and meta elements of the Stanley Parable, and the interesting combat of Cave Story. Undertale is a triumph and a success on every level. It even sees more success to this day with its currently releasing series of spiritual successors, Deltarune. Before we get to the grand finale, I wanted to shout out some honourable mentions. But you can't see them here. You have to go to the full article on indiegamefans.com to see the games I thought were only just not quite good enough for this list. Finally, what's a game number 5? Or number 1? Is this a ranked list? It's up for interpretation. Minecraft. Okay, alright, I know what you're thinking. Minecraft's owned by Microsoft. Well, it wasn't originally. It was originally made by just one guy. Sure, it was a guy who eventually became extremely problematic, but one guy nonetheless. Minecraft is, without a doubt, the most popular game ever made. Take your Tetris, Pac-Man, Candy Crush, they can all go home. Across every console since the PS3 and Xbox 360, every PC, be it Windows, Mac, even browser, every mobile device that takes a touch input, even handheld consoles have this game, and it pays off. Minecraft is the most watched game for live streams. It is a game that strides across the intergenerational boundaries in its player base. The merchandising alone could fund a small nation for a decade. It is truly impossible to state exactly how monumentally influential and popular Minecraft is. And whilst there's an argument to be made that Minecraft shows how one man's vision can be taken and made into a corporate monstrosity, this is not the place to be making that argument. And you know, that's it. That's everything. I think we need to start our own little exhibition at the museum. Let's see how it goes. Welcome to the Indie Game Fan Showcase here at the museum. You wouldn't believe how much it costs for this space. We're here celebrating the only medium that puts you in the director's chair. The only art form where you are the paintbrush. Please enjoy your time at the exhibit and spend as much time as you need enjoying the artifacts. Whether you see an art showcase or a historical exhibition, or both, we hope you enjoy these games on International Museum Day. If you want to see more like this, please go to indiegamefans.com to see the full article, and be sure to stick around there for all the latest news on indie games. Subscribe to the channel here for more content like this, and we'll see you soon.